Hey, what's up, everybody? And what's up, Professor Lindsay Howard? How are you today? Oh, muted mic.
My bad.
There we go. How are you? Good morning, good afternoon.
Very good.
Right on. All right, back in the science lab, I see.
Yep.
All right.
Gloomy day.
It's a what day?
Gloomy day.
Gloomy. It is a little gloomy day. Well, let's add some sunshine
Yes.
to the otherwise dark lives of our community.
It's supposed to be sunny later in the week. We'll see.
We'll see. Well, let's jump right in, answer some questions. There's a few topics I want to speak about. We're going to talk about keto. We're going to talk about fasting. We're going to talk about fat loss today while also answering people's questions. I want to go a little bit faster with the topics so we can get through quite a few. And if anyone out there right now wants to timestamp the comments as we are going, I will give you a free Dolce Diet t-shirt. Just let me know that you're doing it in the moment. We'll exchange information, and I will have one sent out today for you. I'd love to get those timestamps up on topics. So let's jump right in. 1% says, hey, Lindsay, I did my NCAA punishment. I will send a video later. You care to expand upon this, please?
Yeah, so we made a little bet on Instagram. He said he likes it. I actually like this idea. He said he uses it with his clients. Like, they'll bet on sporting events, but he'll bet like 50 burpees or something like that with his clients. So I think it's a little bit more constructive than betting money. Okay. So you bet, 50 burpees. And then if the team that you choose loses, you got 50 burpees. And then you have to send some proof that you did them.
I like it. I do like that, betting physical activity as opposed to money. And anyone who knows us knows we want to be keeping our money in our pockets and making it grow. And now this is a private personal client of yours, just to give a little bit more context to the relationship.
He was on the last DDC conference.
Yes. So one of our DDCs, and I apologize for not knowing the name. There's so many avatar names, profile names to make a direct link. So maybe if you can let me know what the first name is. Now I know Henrik. What's up, Henrik? It's that time of the day. Good vibes. Thanks for keep doing this, guys. Learn so much, and it's always a jolly good time. Happy soonish birthday, Henrik. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Henrik, also a Dolce Diet certified coach over there in Sweden. And I'm looking forward to getting over there to Sweden, by the way. My daughter actually asked me today if we can go to Sweden. So how cool is that, Henrik? And I know that we have a great tour guide to show us around. Ryan, what's up, Ryan? Yo. Good to see you, my man. Ben Boyer's in the house. What's up, Ben? Ben, let's talk a little bit more. I know you sent me an email. I want to talk a little bit more on that topic. Please shoot me a follow-up. Mike Helm says, thoughts on stevia. Lindsay, do you have any thoughts on stevia?
Yeah, I think we've pretty much hammered the point home that all sorts of additional sweeteners are not the best thing for you. Yeah. I do think that stevia is a little bit better than something like aspartame or sucralose, something like that, because it is considered natural. Yes. But is it necessary? So, are you putting it in your coffee, or what are you putting it in? So I think that we could live in a world where we don't need to use artificial sweeteners for anything. Yeah. But if it's like a major crutch or something like that, or maybe you're weaning off of putting like a boatload of sugar in your coffee, maybe it's a little bit of a good stepping stone, but not necessary.
I agree completely. Any sort of sugar additive, sweetener additive, flavor additive, let's say artificial or quote natural. Many of the stevia products, it's like a GIF or a GIF, by the way. How do you pronounce it? Either way. Either way, I'm not a fan of those because I believe that opens the door to more pleasure-inducing flavor alternatives. And what does that mean? What's wrong with water? What's wrong with black coffee that I'm sipping on right now. What's wrong with regular tea? What's wrong with putting a little lemon, citrus, lemon, lime, let's say, in your tea per se, some sliced cucumber, let's say, maybe like, but even then it's so foo-foo and almost irrational. So I certainly try to steer our clients away from that crutch, and good term, Lindsay. And there is a bit of a crutch there. Let's just make the break. Like, are you that dependent upon, I don't want to use the term, artificial flavor additives, because that's what they are. They're artificially flavoring some sort of natural beverage or food product. I would stay away from that, truly. And many of these are marketing schemes. They'll say it's a stevia product, and then you look at the ingredients, and there's 11 different ingredients in the product. Another reason to stay away.
Right.
Can't wait for the level 2 DDC. We're really starting to hone in on that date now. It looks like we will be running a concurrent level 1 and level 2 nutrition coach and fitness trainer event in Chicago in mid-June. We will keep you guys up to date on that. The restrictions are dramatically changing. Chicago now, or Illinois now, has opened up a bridge between level 3 and level 4, which I think is awesome. Capacity has dramatically gone up. The need to wear masks and social distancing has dramatically changed. So lots of cool things happening already. By the time we get to June, the assumption is we're going to be wide open, back on track. So looking forward to that. Lindsay and I will both be there, as well as an eclectic group of guest speakers I'm excited to be bringing in. But we'll share that more once we have the dates. If you guys want to come and join us, definitely start thinking right now, mid-June in Chicago, 30 minutes from O'Hare International Airport. This will be an amazing event. And I think we're going to set it up that you can actually test for level 1 and level 2. I want to stagger the days so we can get our level 1s in, get them through as level 2 is kicking off, and run them through a full 4-day event for some. So we can go half and half, or we can go full. But send me any DMs on Instagram if you have questions, or leave comments below this and we will follow up. Steve, what's up, Steve? There you go, Steve. Thank you. There we go. My man. Good to see you, brother. Neely, what's up, coach? What are your thoughts on eating a night before carbs for a morning ride as fuel? So, a carb loading concept, Lindsay, what do you think? And that's what I'm assuming. Morning ride, carbing up the night before. What are your thoughts on that carb kind of, carb load?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that you're going to go and do something strenuous or aerobic, something longer duration in the morning, and you want to be fueled, so you want to top off your glycogen stores, you don't have to go overboard. I mean, as long as you're fueling up carbs in the previous day, you should be pretty topped off. I mean, we're sleeping for a decent amount of time, but you're not going to burn through all your glycogen while you're sleeping. But no, having like a little bit heavier carb meal the night before to make sure that you're fueled, absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We're certainly not recommending the plate of Alfredo like we've referenced from The Office.
No, do not be Michael Scott.
But yes, exactly. But if you want to like maybe increase your portion of rice or whatever it may be, just to make sure that you have enough glycogen to do that in the morning, certainly.
Excellent. Agreed. 100%. So what do we have? Oh, NMVA says thoughts on the carnivore diet. I have quite a few thoughts on this. Professor Lindsay Howard, do you care to chime in?
Well, I think the carnivore diet is just like reinventing the wheel. It's been the Atkins diet. It's been the keto diet. I'm sure there's different tweaks in rules, but I mean, that's essentially what it is. I don't know why you would be super, super restrictive as far as eliminating full food groups from your diet to focus on just that. I mean, you say it all the time. We're opportunistic omnivores, right? That's the quote. That's the quote. That's our term here. Yes. Opportunistic omnivores. Yes. And I think that's obvious. That's very true. It's very descriptive. I'm sorry. Continue. Yeah. I mean, we've spoken pretty openly about our distaste for the keto diet, and it's essentially the same thing. Agreed. Now, what I found interesting this weekend, I might do a longer, maybe a 3 to 10 minute video on this, but Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, Professor Jordan Peterson, many of us know Jordan Peterson, and I think he's got really good thoughts on certain concepts of the world.
but also he's got very bad thoughts on other things. So he's certainly not a perfect person. There's definitely wisdom he can share on certain topics. But what I found, Jordan Peterson, very famous, which is why I'm speaking about him right now. I read, it was basically saying how to become more efficient. And it's like, well, how is he more efficient? Well, he wakes up and he eats first thing in the morning every day. And I say, hey, that's great. He's not one of these fasting people. And he says, and he only eats meat because he said carbohydrates are poison. Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson, whatever he's a doctor of, it's not in the medical field. It's not medical science per se. I believe it's psychology or whatever it might be. And I apologize. But regardless, a relatively smart person, we will say, a college professor, well-known, best-selling author, super famous. Well, even Dr. Jordan Peterson, as intelligent as he seemingly is, has been 100% duped by the concept of carnivore and keto, or he sold out on behalf of his daughter, Michaela Peterson, who has no background, no experience, no credentials, no education. But she is pushing what I believe she calls the lion diet, which is basically a carnivore hybrid diet that she claims cured her autoimmune issues. Now, she doesn't talk about past drug use and all the toxins that she had flowing through her body. She doesn't talk about her previous terrible lifestyle, emotional stress, all these other things. Dr. Jordan Peterson, I believe, was severely addicted to certain drugs. I believe he spent time, and I'm not saying bad things about him. This is just factually accurate. So I apologize, and this is pulling information off the internet. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. But he had some serious psychological issues, Dr. Peterson, for the reasons I don't know. But it's all well documented. You can do your own research on that. My point being, Dr. Jordan Peterson, who people look at, now I look at him and I don't say, hey, that's a healthy man right there. I don't look at Michaela and say, hey, that's a healthy young lady right there. I say these two people are struggling with health challenges, and they're desperately trying to find the holy grail, the secret. Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson, he said carbohydrates are poison. Well, does that mean that blueberries are poison? Blueberries are one of the most researched food substances that correlate to dramatic health benefits, right? Blueberries have been researched, the antioxidants, the polyphenols. Blueberries have been researched so much by the medical community. I've never seen one study ever, and Lindsay, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I've never seen one peer-reviewed study out of the thousands that include blueberries that have ever stated anything even remotely associated to a negative outcome of ingestion of blueberries, not blue number 7, right? Not blueberry drink, but blueberries, which is a carbohydrate source. So for Dr. Peterson to say that, I'm just taking a moment here to go on a sideways rant where be careful where you get your information. Dr. Jordan Peterson has absolutely zero experience with regards to nutrition. This is someone who into his later adult life was struggling and is struggling, it seems, with certain pharmacological addictions, let's say. And hey, that is what it is. And that's certainly not a criticism of him. It's just a known fact, but whose daughter is also selling a carnivore type diet. Now he's getting onto his platform and saying that carbohydrates are poison when clearly there's no scientific evidence to show that. Now, highly processed synthetic toxic chemicals that have sugar or carbohydrate, yeah, okay, but that's not what we're talking about here. So I'm using this carnivore question to go a little sideways. Lindsay, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why like a keto diet or like Atkins diet, carnivore diet, it requires supplementation of like magnesium, different electrolytes, potassium. There's a reason why you have to supplement. Otherwise, I mean, I've known people that have gone on the keto diet and all of a sudden they have severe muscle cramps during like a not even that strenuous workout.
Yeah.
Because there's an electrolyte imbalance because you're only eating fat sources and meat sources.
Yeah.
So all of the things that you get from, let's just say, fruits and vegetables, which are carbohydrates, not even talking about like starchy carbs. So even eliminate like sweet potatoes, rice, quinoa, all that stuff. just fruits and vegetables, you're eliminating all those micronutrients that are necessary for just cellular activity. So there's a reason why people have to supplement. Otherwise they, it's just indicative that they're missing something in their diet.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's unfortunate. The carnivore diet, the keto diet, the intermittent fasting, the paleo diet, these are marketing schemes. They're marketing schemes. They have a short-term success rate, as all lifestyle change has a short-term success rate. If you're following a high-fat diet, you switch to a low-fat diet, you'll see benefit. If you're following one macro program, you switch to another macro program, you'll see a short-term 3 to 6 week benefit as things change. But we understand, by and large, the ketogenic diet has failed. The carnivore diet has failed. In many ways, the vegan diet, just to show you that I'm not being biased here, has failed. Fortunately or not, we understand that an omnivoric meal plan is what is most successful for the largest section of the population for the largest periods of their life and has the highest net outcome. There is no science that refutes that. And all of these studies, ketogenic, fasting, carnivore, vegan, they all focus on small subsets of the population, and then they try and extrapolate what happened to 4 postpartum women who were dramatically overweight, as Dr. Rhonda Patrick had put something out, kind of supporting the ketogenic movement, where it was a study based upon 4 postnatal overweight to obese ladies, and how they followed a low carb diet, and it was conflated to be a ketogenic diet. Just be careful, everyone. Don't listen to what Professor Howard and I say here. Listen to what we say, then go do your research. Fortunately, the things that we say are 100% correct. So I have no problem in you fact checking us. Please fact check us, but fact check everybody else.
Yeah.
Gabrielle says, how many weeks out? What?
This is my friend Gab.
Oh, Gabby. What's up, Gabby? How many weeks out from a fight do you recommend incorporating sauna sessions? Do you want to take this, Lindsay, or do you want?
So she actually asked me this yesterday, and I said, ask it tomorrow, and Mike will give you a better answer. But no, Gab's a amateur MMA fighter. She's
cool.
1-0. Fortunately, was put on hold with, COVID and things like that. But she's got a boxing tournament coming up, trying to cut, a decent amount of weight. And she asked me, I think she's 5 weeks out now. Okay. So she kind of asked me, when's appropriate? Like, do you just do it regularly? Do you wait till the week of? So I wanted your expertise on that, really.
I appreciate that. Great question. Gabrielle, welcome. I'm happy that you're here. Now, the answer is the sauna should only be used in a fully hydrated state. I would never suggest using a sauna for weight cutting, and most likely I will start to reduce my exposure to a sauna as I get closer to a fight, maybe about 3 weeks out or so. Instead of the sauna, what I suggest is a warm bath. A warm bath, the total temperature is much lower in a sauna. You'll go to a sauna, it's 180 to 200 degrees on average in the traditional steam sauna, traditional sauna. Infrared sauna is usually about 150 or so, but a traditional sauna, let's say 180. 180 degrees, that's crazy hot. And what that does in time, especially as you start cutting weight, your level of hydration starts to drop. This creates a negative catalyst that we want to avoid. If we can get you into a comfortable tub in your own bathroom or at the spa, a hot tub session, number one, the temperature is about 104 degrees. So we're talking 75 degrees less intense. And also the time of exposure. In order to pull that water in a sauna, my God, you are literally cooking yourself. What that does from an anxiety perspective, a stress hormone perspective, you'll hear stories about athletes time and time again who say, I went in the sauna, I was in there for an hour at 180, 200 degrees, I didn't lose an ounce. My body dried up, I didn't stop, I just stopped sweating. It's because you're dying. You're literally dying. The body realizes you're dying, and they're trying to do everything it can to preserve health and life. So to answer your question, Gabby, I would use the sauna. The only way I would use the sauna if I'm fully hydrated while hydrating the entire time. the entire time you're hydrating. So you're not using it to cut weight. You're simply using it. And I would say sauna and cold plunge. That's great recovery. I would start to taper that out about 3 weeks out. And I would start to add in the baths the night before, or the baths at night before bed, with a cold shower afterwards. About 10 days out, what we would want to do is we would want to get into the bathtub every night before bed, 10 days out. 30 to 45 minutes of comfortable sweat time. Act like you're laying on a Caribbean beach that you just never want to leave. Pull the plug, stop sweating naturally, get into a hot shower, kind of shower off, and then slowly turn it to cold for close to 5 minutes, to the point that you get the shivers. That means we've actually chilled the core, which is what we want, and you will see a reduction in total body inflammation. So we've purged the water, then we've frozen the core out, and we'll see is all of a sudden our skin is just more taut. The bags under the eyes are gone, or we'll wake up and you'll see vascularity and, in your midsection. This is a great little way to passively lose a tremendous amount of weight. I hope that helps.
Awesome.
Chris says, nice shirt. Hey guys, greeting from New York City. Is that, I'm assuming that's Lindsay's shirt right there.
I guess.
Yeah, boom. All right. Huh. Ryan, yo, Uncle Mike, what foods do you recommend after a tummy bug? Lost 9 pounds over the weekend because of one. Well, bonus. Lindsay, what do you think after a stomach bug?
A tummy bug. I like that.
Tummy bug.
Definitely go with bland foods. So you don't want to go spicy. Obviously, you're just getting your appetite back. So it sounds kind of gross, but if you do like plain chicken, you could even boil the chicken. It's like what you would give to a sick dog, essentially. Plain rice, things that are easy to digest.
Yep.
And the biggest thing is you're going to be massively dehydrated. That's 9 pounds just of dehydration.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're probably puking, maybe you had diarrhea. Okay, whatever it was, you're super, super dehydrated. So make sure you're hitting the water hard. Yeah.
I agree there 100%. Mama Coochie says, great point about adding cucumber. Recently tried cold tea with cucumber and mint. Delicious. It's funny. If you just slice a little cucumber and throw it in your water, it's amazing. If you order that in the restaurant, they're going to charge you $8 for it. Think about that. They'll charge you $8 for like a glass of sparkling water with some sliced cucumber in there. I could make it at my house for about 13 cents. Right? A bar says, non-standard question. On the second day of a hangover, yikes, I need to go to the toilet every 20 minutes. What is my body trying to get rid of? I've noticed the same after eating a lot of sugar as well. Lindsay, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, whether it be sugar or alcohol, your body's going to prioritize, like, I hate to use the word detoxing, but that's essentially what you're doing. Your body's going to prioritize like the foreign substance first. So that's the reason, I mean, after you drink like excessively, that you're going to be, in your words, going to the toilet every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're literally trying to flush. I mean, your kidneys and liver are working nonstop to flush all of that alcohol out. Our bodies don't use, like, we still get calories. We get 7 calories per gram of alcohol, but we don't use that energy. So it just enters our body and then we have to get rid of it. So I guess my suggestion would be also is to drink a ton of water, throw some salt in your water. Well, first of all, try not to get a hangover. That's my first recommendation.
True.
But same thing with sugar. So like artificial sugar, all that stuff that could all cause like disruptions in digestion, and inflammation in the gut and things like that. So it's your body is essentially trying to detox itself and flush it all out of you.
Yeah. And I would say if this goes on much longer, Boris, you probably want to contact your doctor. I mean, going 2 full days now, going to the bathroom every 20 minutes, I would start to be a little concerned that there might be something else going on. Even just for the massive dehydration you are likely experiencing. I mean, you might need to get hooked up to an IV. But if this goes on any longer, Boris, or if things don't start getting better really quick, I'd call the doctor. I'd call my doctor, go to an urgent care. An ounce of caution is that an ounce of caution, an ounce of prevention? Go to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's the saying. Go to the doctor. Chris, what's up, Chris? Carnivore, keto, OMAD, intermittent fasting, madness. You guys are great. Thank you. Just trying to bring you the most honest, actionable, evidence-based information to dramatically help you move the change forward. That's what we're trying to do here. Corin, when water cutting, why not drink 8 liters Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then not drink anything Thursday and weigh in on Friday? Well, Corin, that's not atypical of what a lot of athletes do. What we try and do is we call it a reverse pyramid. We like to slightly add a little bit more each day while not going crazy. I never tell an athlete they must drink 12 liters per day or 3 gallons per day. We try and simply set a baseline about 10 days before weigh-ins, and we look to slowly increase total water consumption as we get closer. This leads to passive water release. This simply urges the body to release a little bit more water than the day before as we constantly replenish it. We avoid long-term dehydration, but this helps the water jump out of the body much easier in a more passive manner, which means we don't have to go and work out super hard and sit in saunas and go through multiple cutting sessions. We found our athletes typically get on weight the night before weigh-ins while still being fully hydrated, simply because we're able to manage their water levels as we proceed forward. Henrik, how are you guys feeling about very high intense cardio intervals for 50 plus older clients that are not super fit but no heart conditions? 30 seconds work, 60 seconds rest. Professor, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as long as these people have been cleared by their doctors, that's number one. Anytime, I mean, I train a number of individuals who are over 50, and there's a wide range of levels of fitness. So some of them, like walking on an incline, is very intense for them, but some of them can do sprints. So it depends on their condition. But beyond just, okay, here, sign this waiver, fill out your health history form, definitely recommend that they see a doctor, because you don't want that on your hands.
No.
You want a clear conscience when you're heading into those workouts, and you have to judge, the exertion or the perceived exertion of that client to determine what is too much and what's right in the sweet spot where you're not like killing them, but they're still getting a decent workout. So again, it depends. Like people in the 50-year-old range, I think that's in like the 40 to 60 range. That's the most drastic difference in fitness levels. Some can jump. Some people literally cannot jump.
Yeah.
So it's very dependent on, I guess, their fitness level to start. But no, I think there's plenty of 50 plus people that could handle high intense activity as long as they're cleared by the doctor first.
I agree. And that's such a great point, Lindsay. And as someone who is closer to 50 than he is to 30, this certainly resonates with me and my ability to constantly evolve my training to make progress while also being aware of certain changes and limitations. Like my warm-ups and cool downs are as long as my workouts now. 10 years ago, my warm-up might have been a little bit of this and let's go.
Let's go.
A little bit of this and let's go. Hold on one second. What's up, Sean Coachell? We're in the middle of a live stream right now. Boom. And I'm answering for you because you're that important to me. But you want to watch on YouTube and I'll call you back when I'm done. Oh, all right. All right, bye. Cousin Sean, everybody knows Cousin Sean from the show. Cousin Sean will be back on here soon. We got some really cool stuff going on with him, and it's cool to see what he's done. Did you know, Lindsay, you'll appreciate, and I will finish this question. Cousin Sean has actually paid off his entire student debt, came on the show to speak about that. $80,000 he paid off by the time he was 26. So within 4 years of getting out of school, he lived like a pauper. He lived like a college student while having his big time job, and put his nose down, went crazy, like paid off his college debt. So just like a huge
That's awesome.
And that's important, right? That's a big deal. We'll talk about that afterwards. So Cousin Sean has a lot of wisdom to bring, even though he is a little bit of a noob still in life. But to finish this, so Henrik, I love it. And definitely what Lindsay said here is 100% accurate. You got to make sure that they go and get cleared by their doctor. They run the additional battery of tests at 35, at 40, at 45, at 50. As we go through life, more tests are required. If you're 32 years old, you haven't gone through the additional testing. I would suggest, hey, go to a cardiologist, get an EKG, get an ECG, go and get a stress test done. Let's see where you are. Number one, simply because it's good for you. It's healthy to know this, to have this data. Number two, to make sure I can program the right workouts relative to your ability. I want that diagnosis from your doctor. I want the note of full clearance to perform all or no restrictions, I believe it's called, to make sure. And also I'd say, and this is also working with certain clients, older clients, start small. Like I'll work with older clients and I love the interval concept. We'll literally do 10 seconds of higher intensity and 1 minute of rest. And over a period of weeks, we'll build to 15, then to 20. And number one, it will scale them. It'll give them progressive overload. Number two, you as a coach will be much better, much more able to bring them along and get them mentally into it. Because if you're like, all right, intervals, 30 minutes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, let's go. People are going to be like, fuck this shit. I can't do this. Like, I can't do that. Like, they won't be able. But if it's like you give them 10 seconds, it takes about 10 seconds to even get to your stride, let's say. And then you shut it back down. Now, we're going to see a good peak. The heart rate's going to run up and then it's going to come down and recover, full recovery, and then up and then down. So I say this again, just from experience, having been doing this for 30 some odd years, I love to slowly scale, but also I can watch my client and I can cue them. I can start to fix some things about their biomechanics, the way they move their body, just like even their posture. You're falling forward. Let's get a little bit more upright. I want to see some more locomotion. Instead of like those people who run like this, let's start to change that. So I'll start to change some of these things in the scaling phase. But by week 2, week 3, week 4, man, it's awesome. I'm going long here. It's awesome to see people that never thought they would be fit again start to reclaim their fitness. And that typically happens over 35, right? Because below 35, you're still a kid in many ways. And I say that respectfully. The body is still regenerating at a high rate. Hormones are still kind of surging. And then somewhere mid-late 20s to mid 30s or so, we start to see a catabolic cascade kind of set in. And that's just the way it goes. We can use lifestyle to improve that. And this is where we as coaches, and Henrik is one of our Dolce Diet certified coaches, again, over in Sweden. And it's such a great question. I really wanted to take the time to speak on this. Think in terms of the individual when they go home and when they're sitting with their family. This is what I think about. When this person goes home, who's sitting at their dinner table with them? Who loves them? Like, who are they training for? What was their experience with me like? Did I make them better today? Did I scare them away? Are they going to show up tomorrow excited? Or are they just loathing seeing me and they're going to fall? Did I just ruin their fitness journey because I'm all gung-ho? Come on, what's wrong with you? They don't need that. Some people don't. I don't need that all the time. I come from a wrestling background. Sometimes you need your coach to motivate you and pick you up, but I don't need to be criticized and pushed to the point of injury. It doesn't do anything for me, right? So, and again, that's kind of an aside for all the coaches out there or anyone who's kind of, training on your own. Just keep that in consideration.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be like a combination of like the good cop and the bad cop. So you have to be like supportive and understanding, but you also have to be able to push them.
Yeah.
But my recommendations, again, back to like the pre-participation screening, I know a lot of people have like ACSM certifications, so American College of Sports Medicine.
Yeah.
But their pre-participation screening is perfect. If anybody's a coach or trainer, just go on and like literally Google ACSM pre-participation screening.
Yep.
if you need anything to fall back on as far as clearance and stuff like that. They also have like, it's a recommendation, but I think it's called the 10% rule. So never progressing more than 10% from session to session. So you don't want to go too hard too soon. I think the NSCA uses, what is it called? Start low and go slow principle.
Yep.
We'll start at a lower intensity, progress gradually. Because again, you don't want to turn these people away. You want them to feel accomplished. Yeah, perfect. There you go.
Yep. And you just keep talking through it as I kind of scroll through. And this is great, Lindsay. And you're absolutely right. Actually throw this into the links so anyone here watching can just grab this. It's such a great value add for everybody who's watching right now. Add this into your own trainings. Definitely if you're working with clients.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, say you own a gym or you work at a gym, with literally using this as your pre-participation screening. There's no sense in making your own. Of course you could, fancy it up and make it look pretty, but it's easy enough. It's very comprehensive, and it works, for everybody.
Yep, that's great. Awesome. I appreciate that, Lindsay.
Yeah,
thank you.
For sure.
Let's see. Andrew, Corona, F you. And those who don't know, people are like, why is everyone telling you to go F off, Dolce? It's not. So what the F you means, this goes back to like maybe 2 or 3 years ago on the channel. It's for the algorithm. So FU simply stands for effing unbelievable content, Dolces. That's what the FU Dolce stands for. It's a great way for members of our community to just go in, type something really quick into the comments just to get on the board, just to engage for the YouTube algorithm. We appreciate that. We don't often ask you guys, but giving us a thumbs up really helps the channel. Leaving comments below the video after the video posts really does help the channel. I got a buddy over that works at YouTube, can't really directly affect our account here, but gave me a lot of background into how to grow the channel. He was very helpful. And here's what I think, by the way, we're actually launching a brand new channel that will be a network. I'm going to tell you guys more about it. We're going to have this channel. This channel will still be here. We'll still be regularly uploading, but we're going to launch a brand new channel from scratch, basically starting over. And this was YouTube's suggestion, or this, consultant over at YouTube said, listen, there's a lot of things with this channel that is going to be a hindrance to us. And I've spoken on some of this before. We have 45 some odd thousand subscribers, that's pretty impressive on YouTube. I know there's people with millions and millions, but YouTube is a hard nut to crack. And I'm very proud of how many subscribers we have, but many of the subscribers don't get notifications anymore. And a lot of the algorithm, let's say, is dormant, or it's non-affected. I forget some of the terms that they use. The suggestion was to launch a brand new channel, completely unrelated, unassociated with any email addresses, my PayPal account, all that stuff, brand new, start from scratch, and then grow it organically. That likely in 1 to 2 years can likely eclipse what we're doing here. Hopefully we can get into the algorithm sooner, but I've spent a lot of time and money into the production side of what this new channel will be. We will have featured episodes. We will have specific content. We will have contributors outside of just me, of course, great topics. Of course, Professor Howard will be a part of the new channel, so don't worry, she will be here, but also on this channel too. Lots of great stuff. You can't find it yet. I will announce it here before the end of April, maybe sooner. And I just hope you guys come on over, you check it out, and if so, you subscribe and do all the fun stuff. So we appreciate you guys, and this is for you. That channel, we don't look to monetize this. Literally, we lose money on these YouTube channels. By the way, I think I make like $300 a month or so to do for every video we've ever done and every click we ever get. I think it's like if we hit $300 in a given month on YouTube, we're talking $3,600 a year. I think we do about $2,500 a year in YouTube ad revenue for all the clicks and all the annoying things. I'm using a $500 camera. I got a GoPro 9, the microphones that we use. I've easily spent my 2 studio lights. I've easily spent $5,000 in hardware for. Oh, Lindsay just turned on her light, I think, right? No,
I'm grabbing a sweatshirt.
Oh, it's funny when you leave the whole shadow just lit up. But anyway, so The reason we have this YouTube channel is to help you, is to provide value. Literally, it's a financial money loser for us. We lose money. We go into debt every year where we go into the red. But the value we create for you guys is the whole goal. That's why we're here. That's why Lindsay and I, we take our Monday morning and afternoons and we give you 1 or 2 hours of just free Q&A time to provide value for you guys. So the only thing in return, if you find value in us, is just give us a little thumbs up, engage in the comment section, just be a part of the community. Fact check us. Please fact check us. Don't listen to anything, or don't accept anything we say as gospel. Whatever we say, please fact check it. Everything that we provide to you, we've already fact checked. It's already peer reviewed. It's already evidence based. We'll tell you when it's theory and hypothesis and anecdotal evidence, to which we have quite a bunch. But still, we're here to help you guys. Scuba says, with non-traditional milk, is the ones in the box or in the dairy section better, like almond or coconut milk? You have any thoughts on that, Lindsay?
Yeah, I mean, anything that's like in a box is going to be less fresh than something that's in the dairy section refrigerated. In order for it to be shelf stable, it has to have some sort of preservative in it. So I think err on the side of a little bit fresher, chilled, closer to natural, because, literally non-refrigerated almond or coconut milk has to have something in it to make sure that it doesn't, go bad.
Kill you.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. If possible, make your own. Which might sound like, oh man, like what am I, Amish or something, Dolce? Like honestly, there's great DIY recipes. We should actually do one for the channel to make your own almond milk or nut milk or whatever it might be, whatever suits you. It's if you have a blender, you have some I think it's parchment paper, I believe. You can actually make your own really very quickly. We make our own peanut oil in our home. So like the peanut oil that we cook with, we actually make it our own. We make our own peanut butter. So we make our own almond butter oftentimes. It's actually kind of cool to do, especially if you have kids. And we're very big on teaching our children, hopefully, where food comes from. Like food doesn't come from a grocery store. We take our kids to the farms. We're very grateful to live here in the Garden State right now in New Jersey. We take them to the farms. We go, to the orchards and to the fields, and we get, the eggs from the chickens and all this stuff, so we really do try and get their hands into the dirt, if you will. So I don't want to rant too long. I said this would be fast. Ethan, thanks, Corin, right on. AM says, gotcha. I don't know what that means, but all right. Corin, when water cutting, is there any benefit to a warm bath rather than a bunch of layers doing some list cardio? You care to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll always fault to you on the weight cutting questions just because you're far more experienced, but it's exactly kind of just what you just said is if you're doing cardio with a bunch of layers on, it's a stressful thing to do. You're going to hate it. Why not relax in a warm bath? Light some candles. Yeah. Maybe get some incense. You got it. Whatever it takes. So
you got it. And what we look towards when we're thinking about water loss for competition, is it active or is it passive? Is it invasive or non-invasive? Think like that. Man, if I'm cutting weight, I'm dropping calories, I'm super stressed out, I got my idiot coach and teammate and just all these, I'm just fucking annoyed, right? Because I've cut weight hundreds of times personally and been a part of thousands of weight cuts since I was 13 years old. So that's over 3 decades of weight cutting. I don't know, I can't recall if there was ever a week I wasn't involved in some way in a weight cut or dozens of weight cuts. So I've been doing this for 30 plus years constantly, like back of my hand now. The least invasive method is always the best, with rare exception to which I can't even name, but I'll leave that opening. Least invasive is the best way. Now, what we found through our data collection is you will actually lose the same or more water through passively cutting as you will through actively cutting. The harder you work, you'll lose some water quicker, and then the machine shuts off. It's like, cool, you lost 4 pounds in 30 minutes. Great. The guy in the tub lost 3 pounds in 30 minutes. You got to get up and go another 30 minutes. And you're like, oh, fuck, I'm done. Well, the guy in the tub, or the gal in the tub is like, okay, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm hanging out. I'm shooting the shit. I'm watching a Netflix movie. No big deal. That becomes the issue. Now, as long as you've done your job correctly over the 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks, 52 weeks in the lead up, it's super easy. And as I've said, our athletes are on weight the night before passively. We don't actively cut. And in fact, I often fight the other coaches, the skills coaches who are like, yeah, well, when are we going to work out? We got to work out. We got to work out. We got the plastics. I got the mitts. I got this. I got this. I got this. I got heated blankets and you know, I got the zip up, you know, the sleeping bag. I'm like, whoa, coach, we don't need that. He's like, what do you mean we don't need that? We got to work out. We got to work out. We got to work out. I'm like, we don't have to fucking work out, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, all the work's done. Like, it's Wednesday night. She's gonna forget how to fight. You gotta glove her up and put on the wraps and do the thing. And no, she's not sparring. What are you, crazy? Well, that's how we get the weight off. No, that's how you fuck up an entire fight camp. Like, that's how you ruin an entire fight camp, is by overexerting the athlete. And as an aside, I remember, I won't say the name of the athlete, world title fight. We were a main card. I was there. I won't even say the city. But sometime in the last 10 years, UFC event, world title fight. My athlete is on the main pay-per-view card. Big fight. I will say it's a big fight. Now, I go upstairs to get my own workout. It's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. All my work is done for the day. I go upstairs to get a workout, drink a cold pressed beet juice. I'm going to sit in the hot tub a little bit and just chill. Weigh-ins are the next day. Our work is done. I go upstairs and there is a commotion. There's like 5 coaches. Oh, come on, screaming and screaming and screaming. I look. Well, it's the contender for the world title. Over on the treadmill, leaning over, breathing like I'm about to call the paramedics. I think somebody's dying here. Everyone's screaming, gets him back up. Now, he's packed in like Ralphie's little brother from the Christmas Story. He packed up, literally, they got, like this. He can barely even put his arms down. They got hats and scarves. They got multiple hoodies. He's just tucked in like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Sweat's just kind of falling all over the place. They got the treadmill that's just running. Come on, you got to go. You got 10 more minutes. The treadmill's just running. He's like trying to like, can't even talk, and I've been there before. I've been so dry I can't even form words. There's no saliva. My tongue is sticking to the top of my mouth. This is close to what's happening to this poor athlete. My heart breaks in telling this story. I can see the pain in his face, and his a-hole coaches, come on, don't be a P word, and all sorts of misogynist statements they're using against this individual, right? Saying all sorts of bad stuff. He gets on there and he starts running again. Thump, 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 thump. Boom, falls down, shoot, gets spit off like they're checking to make sure he's not cut or anything. Like, still screaming at him. He gets on and he's just trying his best to get on and do this. Well, needless to say, he goes out there the next day. He goes all 5 rounds and gets the shit kicked out of him. He's just 1 step behind from like middle of the second round on. Looks great in the first round, and then the champ just slowly starts to pull away. This guy was so tough. He was in it. He was there, trying to fight back, heart of a warrior, and I kept thinking about what his coaches did to him. So, point being, active versus passive. Invasive versus non-invasive. That athlete should have been just relaxing in the hot tub, telling stories about whatever he and his coaches wanted to talk about, would have lost all the weight, no problem, not burnt a single calorie, probably a single-digit percentage of calories compared to what he burnt, damn near dying on the treadmill that night. And Lord knows, and I left. I didn't want to be a part of it. I just like, you know what, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't want to be around that type of negativity and attitude and just bad toxic behavior. So anyway, active versus passive. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, it comes back to the argument, like, should you cut more weight to be heavier in a fight and have the advantage? Well, if you cut more weight, you're going to be gassed for the fight. So it's like the benefit just like cancels itself out essentially.
Yeah. Just the athlete has to compete the next day.
Exactly.
Like you would never do that on the eve of the most important athletic competition of your life and also the most rigorous. Mm-hmm. Why would you do that? And when you say that, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But at every UFC fight week, every Bellator, every ONE FC, every local card in the NCAAs and like everywhere you IBJJF, everywhere you go, you see this same archaic mentality. It's scary. And that's why we're here to kind of bring evidence and honesty back to the industry to help people live healthy lives.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know why the old school mentality hasn't left at this point. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And they're loud, right? Loud and lazy is what it seems to me.
Yeah.
Ryan Brock says, have you spoken with Lane Norton regarding CECO? Would love a live podcast with you both. No, I haven't spoken with Lane. Lane doesn't speak to me. Lane speaks about me. That's the thing with lying Lane Norton. Of course, like, I don't know what the dude's problem is. He's got all sorts of problems, by the way. How he can argue or throw shade at someone like myself, who has a 30-year lineage of success working with the world's greatest athletes with a 100% success ratio by advocating healthful whole foods. I don't understand how anyone can argue with that. But jealous Lane, of course, makes these arguments, and it makes no sense. All it really does when Lane speaks, it shows his insecurities with himself, and it shows the level of jealousy. Lane was speaking bad about me since well before I ever knew who he was. Well before. And here's the funny thing. Lane used to speak so much crap about Joe Rogan, used to throw so much shade at Joe Rogan for being a meathead and a fanboy of MMA and living in a vacuum and only bringing on hosts who confirm Rogan's bias. Lane used to throw Rogan under the bus all the time because he wanted to be on the Rogan podcast. That's it. And I got all the screenshots, by the way. I have an amazing tech team. Everything lying Lane has ever said, I have a catalog. And if I ever need to snap my fingers and release these things, I will happily do that. But I don't live in the negative world of a guy like Lane Norton. Lane doesn't even fall on my radar until you mention him. I have no interaction with Lane. I don't care anything about Lane. I don't wish the guy any ill will. I don't care. Like, I hope everyone is healthy and successful, lives good, long lives. They have money to feed their family, put their kids through school. That's my energy and my mojo. Why Lane is so negative and so nasty and so jealous and so toxic, man, I don't know. He needs to go on a walkabout, I think, and sit with a therapist. He definitely needs to sit with a therapist, in my opinion, because he's got a lot of lifestyle issues that are unresolved, in my opinion, of course. And I think that actually is a part of his big issue. If he would simply be reflective and introspective on who he is at his core, I think he could probably find the way to do some good work in the industry. But in my opinion, Lane is just he's a narcissist who only cares about ego gratification for himself. He wants to stand in the spotlight. He believes he's the smartest person, on the internet, the smartest person in the world, when clearly many of the things he speaks about are so amateuresque. They're so ridiculous and they're false and they're self-gratifying to simply conflate whatever little business model he's trying to craft for himself instead of simply educating the population on what works. And that's the thing. So that's my little piece. I care nothing about him. I wish him no harm. I have no room for a guy like that in my life or in my world. I'm only answering this because you have asked the question on him. I don't foresee a future in which he and I are hanging out and having drinks. I don't see that. He's not my kind of guy. Put it that way for sure.
I gotta look this guy up.
Oh my God, Lindsay, you're like, oh, he'll say some things, and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. You'll be like, what? That's not true. That's ridiculous. Oh, you're selling that. Oh, you're saying that because you're selling that, and you're trying to use your position to get over on your audience. I understand now. I mean, this guy, his life is just a fucking train wreck. I mean, there is a line of bodies behind him that he is completely ruined because of his ego and his narcissism and his lack of integrity. And that's as far as I'll go on that. This is not a person you trust. This is a brief he'll entertain you for 3 to 7 minutes on YouTube, take maybe 30% of what he says as being possible, and then just move on, in my opinion. Like I have zero, I don't respect people like that for a multitude of ways. I don't respect people like this guy. And I really, there's no room for him in my world. So I answer questions because the dude has talked so much shade about me. We have dozens and dozens of emails or tweets and all this stuff for years, for almost a decade now. And he actually started talking smack about me when Mr. Lorenzo Fertitta, billionaire founder and creator of the UFC, and Mr. Dana White tapped me on the shoulder and said, you are the best in the industry. You are the only person we trust to build the only diet and exercise program that we will ever endorse. And that was the UFC Fit program. Once that happened, man, Lane lost his mind and just started throwing all sorts of shade at me. Now, I'm the most successful weight management coach in the history of combat sports. I am the only coach with a 100% success ratio for over 20 years in doing this, very humbly speaking. And there are many PhDs in this industry, many MSs and many RDs and many great, amazing, credentialed coaches and practitioners to whom I call friends and are peers and I look up to and we network with. But at the same time, I have a pretty cool distinction in that group of working with the world's most challenging athletes. I didn't just cherry pick. I didn't work with the easy, the low-hanging fruit. I worked with the worst of the best. The UFC would take their problem children and send them to me. And like Dennis Hopper in Pulp Fiction, I would fix them, get them on weight, on time every time, because there was a bag of money waiting, millions of dollars go into the promotion of these events and these big fights. So when you have a billionaire who's watched me work for a decade and watched everyone work for a decade and then says, you are the best at this, you are the one that we trust at this, then you get some thumb dick like Lane Norton who wants to go and throw shade because I say artificial sweeteners are not good for people. Well, of course, Lying Lane was selling artificial sweeteners, and that's a part of his marketing scheme. I get it, dude. There's people who are doing worse, but you can do better. So that's my too long rant now on this guy. I spent too much of my time. That's about all the information all the exposure I want to this guy for like the next 3 months or so. I don't want to hear his name, talk about him. Literally has nothing to do with my life.
You've reached the quota.
I'm so over this dude because like he's always just like he's like that little nippy dog that's always like nipping at your heels. It's like, dude, go do your own thing, man. Why you talk about me, and especially why you put wrong information out there? You're telling people to go eat sucralose and aspartame and FD number 7 and red number 6 and blue this. Why? We understand the long-term negative health effects this has specifically on digestion. And you get guys like this telling good-natured individuals who are reaching out for help, he's telling them to go out and eat that stuff. Why? Instead of telling them to eat something better and helping educate them on long-term health outcomes, because he's selling stuff. He had his crappy little failed supplement company that was loaded with synthetic toxic chemicals. That failed. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into the whole thing, but I got a whole database of Lane talking smack about so many freaking people. Like I'm like just waiting for the day that I just tell my team, press the button. press the button.
Release it.
And then I'm just going to sit back and watch the Reddit threads just go crazy over this dude just being such a, not the person that he certainly pretends to be. I got no problem. Like I got no problem, Lord knows, having a personal conversation. I don't think he'll like that very much.
Back to the positive.
That was, for me, that's positive. I don't care. Like, man, confrontation, that doesn't bother me. I actually kind of enjoy that, especially when I have the moral high ground. I have the scientific high ground. There's nothing on this conversation that I'm like, oh, I'm worried about, because 100%, there's nothing that I say that is false here, especially from a moral high ground, an ethical high ground. Holy shit. Like, this isn't even, it's like we're two different species. So anyway, that was a fun little rant though, by the way. You guys come for the rants, right? Coach, wife and I are on day 7 of 3 weeks to shredded and loving the meals. Question though, what's your recommendation for weekly cardio in regards to list and hit? Currently list 3 days a week and hit 2 times. That sounds great, Justin. Professor Howard, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say that actually sounds perfect. Add on, it depends on what your high intensity day is. So like, is that lifting or is that like extra on top of lifting? But if it's like, traditional HIIT training where you're doing like burpees for 20 seconds and resting, something super high intense, then I think 2 days a week is perfect. Maybe add in 2 or 3 days of resistance training and you're set.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's great. Justin, you're killing it. AM says Dolce diet is the only diet that works for me with my hard labor construction job. I get ill off keto, etc. And that makes perfect sense. Humans are opportunistic omnivores. We need to eat healthy, whole foods in wide variety at even intervals based upon our activity. So I'm so happy to hear that our system is working for you. It works for the world's greatest athletes. It works for postnatal moms and weekend warrior dads and anyone in between. We're just telling you what works. And I always say it's like, Sir Isaac Newton didn't create gravity. He simply pointed to, hey, this is happening here. That's kind of what we do. Like, I don't want to take any credit for any program that we've created. We're simply pointing out these universal principles that work. I can't change that. I can't change our principles here at the Dolce Diet. This is what works. They're very similar to the law of gravity. Our program is a universal principle or a series of principles that work. They are unchanged. I cannot change them. Try as I may. I wish I could sell a keto program. I wish I could jump in and out of all the SEO pop culture keywords like all of our peers do, or a majority of our peers do. Man, I could rack up so much more money every single year by selling my soul to do that. I can't do that because it's false. Doesn't work. That's why we stand here and we tell you the truth every day. Simple.
Yeah, it's just the boring science.
The boring science. We try and come up with some cool recipes like that make it easier, some grocery lists, and you can organize it in a way if you have a specific type of goal. We can help, of course, with all that, but that's like the 10%. Like 10% of the refinement, 90% of the principles. Paul, what's up, Paul? Good afternoon, brother Mike and Lindsay from the big state of Texas. By the way, enjoying some coconut water, whey protein, and my poison blueberries. Sorry, Dr. Jordan Peterson. We're going to poison ourselves with organic blueberries today. Trevor just had a double hip replacement in May at age 32. Yikes, bro. No question. Just wanted to say I've followed some of your health tips, and I've lost over 25 pounds in 10 weeks. Thank you.
Awesome.
Trevor, appreciate that. So happy to hear. Wow, double hip replacement, my man. I'd be curious to hear what happened. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. I'm actually aggregating content about hip replacements that I want to put out for individuals. You are a little young at 32. They typically don't recommend hip replacements until you're over 50 and try and push that as far down the road. Typically, the not the prosthetic, but the actual machinery, I'm not using the correct word here, but the actual device only lasts about 15 years or so right now. So I'm a candidate, so you guys know, I'm a candidate for a hip replacement on my left side. I've been a candidate for about the last 5 years, going back to my wrestling background, my powerlifting background, and just like, you know, the way my body, I have a slightly misshapen, what is the? Femur at the top. So it's not as round, it's slightly misshapen. So it never quite fit properly. And my hips were always slightly off. So I had this slight pelvic tilt, lateral pelvic tilt. And in time, the wear and tear just built up. It became arthritic and whatnot. Now, I've done a tremendous job in mediating that over the last 5 years. I mean, I went for a run this morning, and a fartlek run this morning. So I'm still dealing with it and living with it and trying to extend as far down the road as I can with it. So that's why I'm very curious about it. So Trevor, I'd love to hear more. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. I got some questions for you. I'd love to maybe even get you on the show if you want to talk about it. Ben Boyer says, don't forget, bang, bang, the thumbs up, everyone. Appreciate that. Hi, King. Hello, both of you. What would you say is best for fat loss and cardio between an air bike, rower, or running or sprinting? I think that's an easy answer. Lindsay, feel free.
Anything that you have access to, in all honesty.
Exactly.
If you want to do something a little bit less invasive or less strenuous on your joints, the rower is nice. The air bike is nice. I think the air bike gives you a little bit of an advantage. Everybody hates the assault bike, like just because it sucks. But you get a little upper and lower body movement also. Whereas, you know, running, yes, you're moving your arms, but no resistance there. So it could get you out of breath, or your heart rate will increase a little bit faster in the same relative amount of time. But no, anything that you enjoy, anything that you will stick to and do, as long as it's at, you know, appropriate intensity for you, any of those are fine. I like to mix it up so I don't get bored. Yep,
I agree. It's whatever you have access to, whatever you want to do, whatever you enjoy is a big part of it. Whatever you are going to do consistently matters. Like for me, it's like, I love to be outside. Like I want to do all my cardio outside. I can't always go outside, but today was a rainy morning. I went and I put on my gear, my sweatshirt, and put on my hat, and I went outside and I went for a run. Like, get your ass outside. But if you got a row, like I got a elliptical at the house, we got a Peloton. You know, I got some of these different devices. I got an assault bike literally right there that I hate, but for some reason my daughters love.
They don't know yet.
They don't know. Yeah, they don't know the pain and the suffering of it. They don't know that yet. But point is, do whatever you're going to do it. But make sure you are consistent, a minimum of 30 minutes a day. As long as you get in that 30 minutes, have fun. I'm in. Justin, Coach, can you speak about the high amount of blueberries on 3 weeks of shredded? Also, can we substitute strawberries every now and then for convenience and variety? Well, I wouldn't say it's a high amount of blueberries on 3 weeks to shredded. I would say it is an ample amount of blueberries on 3 weeks to shredded. That's really the truth of it. Blueberries are one of the most researched, going back to Dr. Jordan Peterson's mischaracterization of carbohydrates. Blueberries are one of the most studied compounds on the planet. One of the most studied foods on the planet, one of the most studied fruits on the planet. The amazing net benefit of blueberries cannot be dismissed. Also, they're delicious. They're delicious, and they're easy to transport and relatively easy to purchase in North America. They're widely abundant. You can get them flash frozen for pennies on the dollar in any grocery store. At Costco, you can get them, picked out of your garden. We used to grow blueberries when we lived in Las Vegas, believe it or not. Awesome. Harder to grow here in New Jersey because we have raccoons, we have squirrels, we have rabbits, we have all these birds who sweep down again. In Vegas, scorpions and snakes aren't eating blueberries. They're trying to eat my children, right? and horses. But anyway, that's the reason. And yes, I strongly recommend mixed berries. Mixed berries. I had that for breakfast this morning, mixed berries. I think I had cherries and blueberries and strawberries and blackberries and raspberries, a cup's worth. And they're actually from a frozen. They were frozen. So that's the answer. I hope that helps. Henrik, dynamic warm-up. Heck yeah. Corin, what do you think about steroid use in sports? I know USADA can catch some like EPO, but there has to be sneaky substances to get past the system. Yo and Costa have to be taking something. Well, we can't accuse anyone without evidence. Because people look a certain way does not mean that they're taking it, to be fair. And I don't know for sure. I could see the argument that they are. You don't know for sure. Now, one of my best friends, Gerald Harris, who was my Team Quest teammate since I think 2006. We were on The Ultimate Fighter together. We were roommates together. We traveled the world together. One of my best friends. Do you love Gerald? Gerald, I hate him because Gerald, I've never known Gerald to not look like a bodybuilder. He will go and eat at McDonald's when I'm sitting there eating chicken and quinoa, and we'll wake up the next day and he'll look better. I would have to, God, I worked my ass off for 16 weeks to look half as good as Gerald. To be fair, I could accuse him, and I know for a fact this dude is drug-free. I lived with him for weeks on end. No way. So you got to be fair here. I don't want to, blame someone without evidence. It's not fair to do. But I think that drug use in all sports is rampant. And I had John Romano on my podcast years and years ago. We actually couldn't release it because our lawyer was like, there was too much stuff. And he kind of really went in on CrossFit at that time. Maybe I'll get him back on and we'll speak more about it because the world has changed quite a bit. What John had said, there are 300 known performance-enhancing compounds. The current WADA and USADA list only includes 200 of them, which means there are 100 performance-enhancing compounds that are completely legal to use. Blew my mind. It's only illegal if it's on the list. When they change the list, we just find what's not on the list. There is I would say a multi-billion dollar industry globally when we think about China and Russia and Cuba and some of these other sports entities, NFL, NBA, like all of that. We could start pointing the finger. There are people who've dedicated their lives to living on that side of the line. So to answer your question, I have no idea, like big time, long term, but it's always going to be anytime that there's money at the end of the road or there's money on the finish line, there's going to be someone willing to take risks to make that change. Lindsay, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, for one, some people just have impeccable genetics and you can't fight that.
Yeah.
But I get into this debate all the time with my students. We talk about teach them about EPO and blood doping and what it is and all that stuff. And then I always like to get into the debate about Lance Armstrong. I love Lance Armstrong. I think he's kind of an asshole, but elite.
Yeah.
And there's always half the room that's like, oh, he was so wrong. He never would have won if he didn't take this, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he still would have won. Everybody else was on it. Yeah. Literally everybody else. If you watch his there was an ESPN series about just called Lance. I loved it because I used to follow Lance Armstrong. I used to watch almost every day of the Tour de France, which is, I don't even like cycling, but I just find it fascinating that athletes can do that.
Yeah.
But they literally wouldn't even let people on the United States team unless they agreed to blood doping. So no, I don't think it's right. I don't think cheating is right. But at that point in time, I think there's an argument to be made that if the entire field is at this level and they're only at that level because they're blood doping and you're also at that elite level, I can't even imagine the pressure, the peer pressure realistically to match that level. So it is interesting. I also recently listened to, it jogged my memory when you mentioned CrossFit, but Matt Frazier was on the Joe Rogan podcast and he was talking about steroid use in CrossFit. And he's like, I don't understand why people in CrossFit use steroids because the money is not there. I think he got paid $300,000 for winning, which is a lot for a lot of people.
Is Matt Frazier alluding to him being lifetime natty? I didn't watch it. Is that basically what he's saying is he never took anything and won't take anything. He's the fittest man on the planet competing against all these drug users, but he's completely drug free. Is that what he was saying?
Pretty much. And he went through.
Come on, man. Just don't talk about it, bro. Come on now.
They went on for a long time. It was like a 2.5, 3 hour podcast. I listened to it while I was driving one time. But he went on, like, went through the process of how they like follow him around and show up at his house and all this stuff. And he's like, I don't understand why people do it, because, you know, in the NFL or like the MLB, they're on multi-million-dollar contracts. Yeah. Whereas, you know, you don't get paid as much in CrossFit unless you're him, because you have every other, you know, sponsorship that there is.
Rich Froning's a millionaire. Matt Fraser's a millionaire. What's he saying?
Yep.
I don't understand. The average American household earns $60,000 per year in one competition. Matt Fraser won 5 years worth of household revenue, not including his sponsorships. I would be shocked. And I like Matt Fraser, by the way. I would be shocked if an athlete like Matt Fraser is making any less than $800,000 a year. Any less. Should probably be making closer to $2 to $3 million with proper sponsorships. And I know Matt Fraser's success launched his wife's own business, which is a culinary food style business. I'm not mad at any of that.
Yeah.
But come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on.
He even went, like, I didn't realize his backstory. Like, he broke his back in 2 or 3 places when he was younger. So I'm like, coming back from that, that's natural.
So who's Wolverine? Matt Fraser, Mike O'Hearn they just work harder than everybody else. I guess. So Matt is saying, think about this. Matt Fraser is saying, it sounds like and I got to go back and listen to it. So again, I like Matt Fraser. I'm not hating on him. I'm not wishing anything bad for him, but I'm not an idiot. Matt's saying that, hey, I don't understand why all my competitors are taking these powerful, amazing, effective, illegal compounds. But he beat him natty. Because his genetics are just so superior, because his training methodology is just so much better. Is that the truth? That's what we have to believe here?
Yeah. They even went through like specific steroids, talking about how they work physiologically, all this stuff. I was like, damn. I mean, it was a good podcast, but
I'll listen. I haven't been, I got to do some serious catching up on what I know Joe's been doing a lot of podcasts. I just been working on something over here, so I haven't had good podcast time. I've actually been reading a lot of books lately. That's been my thing. I've been super deep into books right now. God forbid, right? Books instead of podcasts. What's this world coming to? All right, let me run through here. Angel Poblano. What's up, Angel? Smash that like button. Bang, bang, everyone. Smash that like button. And, of course, this is that. Definitely click on that. What was it? It was the exercise pre-participation screening that Lindsay had mentioned. So click on that link. Everyone, if you work with clients, if you're curious, it's a great piece of information to have in your arsenal. So says, hey, Mike, I'm on the 3 weeks of shredded program. Is it necessary to eat the avocados? I think they're nasty. And I can get by not eating it. Thanks. Wondering if it's necessary. Well, it is necessary in the amount of fat that it adds. We don't want to start creating caloric deficits simply because I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, what don't you like about it? We're all adults here. I do a lot of things I don't like in my day that are in my best interest and in the best interest of my family and my community. So I will push back on you. What does it make you sick? Do you have an allergy to it? Are you diagnosed with an avocado allergy? I don't know if those exist. I've never come across one. In all my years of working, I'm not saying it's not possible. Or you just don't prefer it. Well, hell, let's try and find a way that we can maybe spice it up. Maybe squeeze some lemon into it and mix it up that way. Ooh, that's pretty delicious. But if you don't like it, have a equal scoop of almond butter or peanut butter or cashew butter or sunflower butter. If you enjoy that, that's fine. But we're looking, the avocado's there primarily on 3 weeks to shred it as it's scripted for the fat component that it provides, while also having the variety into your recipes. That's what the avocado does. So it gives you a really fun ingredient. Now, if you just don't like it, I get it, but I'm going to ask you to try. And 3 weeks to shred it, by the way, everyone, it's only 21 days. It's only 21 days out of the decade. So let's think about how long you have not been compliant to a healthy eating program. And if you say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to suck it up for the next 21 days. I'm going to follow this exactly as it's scripted. It's been created for me by the #1 weight management team in the history of combat sports on the #1 rated online weight loss platform at thedolcediet.com. You guys can click links below. We have a 25% discount, by the way, for anyone who's interested. Maybe give it the 21 days and see how well it works, because you too can lose up to 21 pounds in 21 days. But if you start reverting back to old habits, you might get old results. Oh, the last thing I want to know, Henrik says, is the workout is going to be about me and my ego, but a little tough love for sure. Listen, is that the workout is going to be about me and my ego, but a little tough love for sure. Absolutely, Henrik. Agree, my brother. Sean, there he is. Cousin Sean on 3 weeks of Shredded. Can you shift calories between meals? Specifically asking about the avocado with the egg scramble. How about that? Cousin Sean has the same question, similar question. Can you shift calories? You can, but I will always stress, the more we start to make substitutions and changes, the more variables we introduce into the formula. The outcome becomes an unknown. So can you shift calories between meals? Asking, eating the avocado with the egg scramble. I would like to see it stay there, because where are you going to shift it up to? Now we're going to create a fat deficiency during that scramble, and we're going to add it to another meal. That other meal might be planned to be more carbohydrate dense on purpose. And usually you'll see that's how some of the meals go. We have more fat dense foods, more carb dense foods, and the protein usually stays relatively moderate throughout. Without knowing the exact meal, Sean, I apologize. I'll talk to you later on it and give you some more information. Ben Boyer, yup. BYB is keto, good for grappling athletes. I'm going to say no. Lindsay's saying no. You want to add anything to that, Lindsay?
No.
No.
Glycogen is fuel. Glycogen is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates don't exist in the keto diet.
Boom. Enough said. John, is there anything I can do with the animal fats? I cut off the fat from the steak yesterday because I find it quite chewy. I don't know that they will help make solid muscle. It also came from a grass-fed cow. Well, that being said, you definitely want to check out this. This episode is brought to you by Certified Piedmontese. Go to Piedmontese.com and feed your family the same way I feed mine. Right now, use promo code DOLCE to save 25% on grass-fed, grass-finished beef with free delivery. That's Piedmontese.com. Boom. There's always an opportunity, it seems, to drop that in there, and that's great. By the way, guys, I get nothing. We get nothing. We get no commission. If you use that 25% Dolce promo code at Piedmontese.com, we don't get any of that. That is 100% passed on to you. It's completely for you. Super happy, proud of it, and happy to have that and share that with you. Plus, you get free delivery, 2-day delivery to your door if you spend $99 or more, which is super easy to do. If you have a family, fill your freezer the same way I fill mine, which is awesome. We actually have a Piedmontese order in right now. I cannot wait for it to arrive, and it's awesome. So to answer your question, is there anything I can do with the animal fats? I don't really understand the question, Lindsay. Are you reading this maybe that I'm being a little dense right now?
Yeah, I don't know if he's saying like if you cut the fat off a steak because you don't like to eat it, that you could repurpose it and use it in a different way.
Yeah.
I know they will help make solid muscles. Also came from gas. I don't know. Like I know some people cook with like lard and stuff like that. I personally don't. Or like save bacon grease and all that stuff. But I'm honestly not too sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Jonathan, exactly what you're saying. Like, we don't eat an excessive amount of animal fat. I like lean beef. I tend to have more chicken breast than chicken thighs, let's say, than the white meat, than the dark meat. I do like fatty fish. I mean, salmon is big. We eat egg yolks for sure. Whole eggs we eat. We love salmon as a part of our meal plan. But also, like the certified Piedmontese, their grass-fed, grass-finished beef is by far my favorite. They have bavette, which is a fattier cut, short ribs, which is a fattier cut, but we do a lot of the filet, a lot of the 90% lean ground beef. We probably use their grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef more than anything because it's so versatile in our recipes. Like Brandy will make like 4 or 5 pounds of meatballs, and then we'll just freeze them. It's so it's just there forever. We'll make big chilies and pasta sauces, and we'll do a lot of that stuff. Burgers, which we do burger night once a week. We're actually grass-fed, grass-finished beef. We make our own burgers. We actually peel our own potatoes and bake our own French fries, God forbid, which are freaking delicious. So Jonathan, I apologize that we don't have maybe a better answer for you, but I wouldn't be scared of fat, excessive animal fat for sure, and always look to the leaner cuts of beef. Vind, okay. Henrik, I took the exercise bike to the... What's that?
I said he must be bored.
I guess so. Well, ta-da. Start your own YouTube channel and entertain us. Henrik took the exercise bike to the sauna with the suit on once because I was too lazy to do my weight cut properly. Can you spell disaster? Yes. I've been there back in my early wrestling days. Our coach used to make us almost have takedown tournaments in the sauna while fully suited up. I mean, this is a horrible thing to do to young adolescent men going through puberty, right? All of a sudden we're in there fighting for our lives in these 180-degree ovens, and you have some 26-year-old grown man, so we thought at the time, kind of probably taking bets on who would actually collapse and almost die. But yeah, that is a disaster, Henrik, for sure. Ryan says, lying lean, love it. Cheers, Uncle Mike. I'm just telling it. I mean, come on. Dude's a hater, unfortunately. Again, he holds no space in my mind, but every so often it's fun to just, vent a little bit on all of his misdeeds. Tell us what you really think. There we go. Always. I think I started something. Matthew says local honey, way better than any synthetic sweeteners. Agreed. Local raw honey is one of our favorites. My Gronus. Mike's rants are priceless. Makes me want to do push-ups and shadow walk. Hell yeah. I love that. I don't eat in 1 month. I don't know what that means, but that doesn't sound good. Trevor, I'd love to talk to you more about the hip replacement. I think I have a lot of insight with surgeries and getting your body back after. Trevor, definitely shoot me a DM on Instagram if you have it. Otherwise, leave a comment below here, and we will set it, or we'll reach out to each other. Please make a video from when you set a new fitness goal and break it down with your training diet and so forth. Definitely. I got more with the new channel that we're launching. I got a lot of fun stuff. And that's kind of why, I started that series over here. And then a lot of the time and energy we re-diverted to building out the new channel. I think you guys are really going to like it. California, Mike, what do you and Lindsay think of collagen peptides powder? Lindsay, do you care to share?
I don't think they're the worst. Like a collagen supplement for, joint health and things like that. But I think if you're getting, good healthy fats from like lean protein sources like we talked about, then we should be okay. I think that's definitely a doctor question also. If you have chondromalacia or something, some sort of degenerative thing in your joints, then I don't think it's going to hurt. But I don't think it's necessary for everybody. I think everybody jumps on these supplement kind of bandwagons and they're like collagen, or like CoQ10 is the best thing that ever was invented. So I don't think it's necessary for everybody, but if somebody of a certain status like that, like your doctor or somebody told you to start supplementing with them, then that's totally fine. But also look at the product, see what else is in it. You want the most natural version of that supplement possible.
Yep, I agree. And one thing I will share is I found Vital Proteins to be a very good source. I have no endorsement. I get paid nothing. They've given me some free product a few years ago. I'm friends with one of their reps over there, Dan, the trainer. Dan's a great guy, actually. And they'll send me some free product every so often. But I don't get paid anything. I spend my own money to buy their products from time to time. Brandy likes their collagen. She doesn't really enjoy dairy very much. She's very dairy sensitive, although the Dolce way works extremely well for Brandy. She was like our test subject, by the way, with the cold processing, cross-flow, microfiltration, blah, blah. I'll get to that later. But that being said, Vital Proteins I found to be very good. They have coffee creamers that are collagen coffee creamers that when I ran out, I was pissed. I was pissed. I got to say, like, and I'm a black coffee guy. I was pissed because they were so good. It was like a supplement, my coffee at the same time. But in general, I get bone broth. Like bone broth, that gives me the allotment. It's like Lindsay said, like it's good if you have access to it. You know, a little cup a day or so, sure, great. But it's not a make or break product for your health, well-being, outcome, and whatnot. It's just a nice little extra on top of an already fit and healthy lifestyle. Amy, what's up, Amy? FU, Dolce, and Doc. Got you guys. You are the doctor now. Is that, can we have to give you professor, right? You're not a PhD yet, but you are professor. You know, she is a collegiate professor, university professor, but very much more, probably in many ways, respectfully, my opinion, more knowledgeable, more experienced, more credentialed than many of the doctors who are working in this space. I will certainly say that about our Professor Howard here. Got you guys playing through a Bluetooth headset while giving my kids an evening bath, soaking up the content. Thanks, elbow cough. Amy, thank you. That was, I mean, tub time, bath time, just as a dad. Oh, how sweet. What a fun time that is. So enjoy your beautiful, little family there. And Amy, and I appreciate you being a part of the community. Amy's over there in the UK, so it's nighttime there for her right now, or getting to be nighttime. And Lord knows as parents, 7 p.m. feels like it's midnight. So I certainly put the kids to bed, get jammies on. Hopefully they fall asleep within an hour or so, and then quiet time for an hour before you have to do it all again tomorrow. Nick, love starting my week with both my coaches, going long into the topics of life. We're an hour and a half deep into this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. And Nick, we appreciate you. Was that Linz?
I said I didn't even realize.
I remember looking and be like, oh, we're only 20 minutes in. We'll probably do it short today. And here we are going deep. Now, Nick will be the host of the DDC in Chicago. Nick runs an amazing multi-use facility, an impressive gym, but also a college lecture hall, all in the same facility. So Nick will be our gracious host out there. I'm looking forward to getting out there in the near future, Nick, once again, and everyone, so I can walk the floor plan and see and really start to break down what the laws are, speak with local government, whatever we need to do to make sure that we're completely compliant with all restrictions, all rules, like everything that needs to be done. But level 1, level 2 Dolce Diet certification and fitness conference in person in Chicago in June. That's what we're working for right now. John, yes, Lindsay is correct. Repurposing the steak had a fat layer around it, grass-fed lean, but again, the outside fat edge, I just cannot chew. If you have a dog, I would probably feed it. You know, I would probably do that. I wouldn't repurpose it for my own ingestion. By the way, I mean, maybe if I was like living out and being self-sustaining, then I certainly would do that. But, you know, probably using as a cooking oil, possibly, I would start to break it down from there. I would definitely take the bones. I'd make my own bone broth for sure. And there's some great recipes online. It takes about a full 24 hours to really boil out your bones. Corin, how much water weight can somebody lose in 24 hours? As little as possible is always the goal, but I've seen athletes lose tremendous amounts. I won't say the number because I don't want to set a false precedent here, but I've seen a very unhealthy amount. We've helped individuals lose a massive amount of weight for short periods of time, and I do not suggest that for anyone, and we really won't speak to that because it's just too dangerous. In a 24-hour period, I would like to see less than 2% of total body mass. I will cap that as 2%. So if you're 200 pounds, that's a 4-pound cut. That sounds about right. If you're fighting at 185, you probably want to be down to I got a 3 to 4 pound water cut. All right, we can do that. We can do that. We can do that with a very high anticipation of safety. Lindsay, you have anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, you could lose a lot of water weight in 24 hours. I do a lab every semester with my students. We have like a environmental chamber, so I can make it whatever temperature or humidity I want. And in this case, I think it was like 85 degrees, 70% humidity, no water, and just riding a bike at like a moderate pace, moderate intensity. And I had a men's basketball player lose like 5.5 pounds, I think, in 45 minutes.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a significant amount. And if we talk about performance, 2%, beyond 2%, it's widely documented that there are so many detrimental effects just from that small amount of dehydration, cognitive effects, physical effects, on aerobic, anaerobic capacity, all sorts of stuff like that. So hydration is key.
Yep, hydration is key, but less is always best. I mean, that's just a good rule moving into the future. Now, let me remove that for a minute because Ryan actually asked a question. I want to bring that up in a second. Mike B says, when are you launching the new channel? You'll know before the end of April, definitely by the end of April, maybe a lot sooner. So we're already queued up and ready to go. We're actually filming content for it right now. So when we do launch, there will already be a database of videos that have already been recorded, so you can jump in and start going through the list. As I said, it is a brand new channel it will be a sister channel to this, but unrelated in many ways. It'll have a very eclectic group of topics. Will be very almost like a network with specific programs on specific topics. We do a lot of content here that it's kind of, I don't want to say all over the place, but it's more of like an aggregate of information. Now, I love this, like Ask the Dietitian segment. We'll be hosting this here and likely over there in a similar format. But over there will be very much more of like a network. So you will understand exactly the name of the show and what we will be speaking about. And we'll have regular guests that will actually be on and also co-hosting some names that you already know, very credentialed names, very well-established names, which will be cool, very famous names also, which is exciting. Ryan Kramer, you are the man. You are the man, Ryan. I'm excited, brother. I know we're going to be speaking here soon. I saw you pop up in my calendar. Excited for that, brother. So thanks, Mike. Gotta be a man and eat it. Ha. All right. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I think he's talking about the avocados. Do you use amino acids or HMB before fasted cardio to present muscle loss? No, that is conflated content used by the supplement marketers to get you to buy more supplements. I'm not losing any muscle because I go for a 30-minute walk an hour after I wake up in the morning. And I'm still eating my 200 grams or 180 grams of protein per day, over 3,200 calories spread amongst 5 to 6 feeding times throughout the day. No, I'm not losing a single ounce of muscle. That's all bullshit. Lindsay, man, I could be wrong. Lindsay, am I wrong?
No, I agree. I think just fasted cardio in general gets a bad rap because people think you're like going out and running 4 miles in a fasted state. I absolutely would not recommend that.
No.
For any reason at any time.
No.
So I think, and you look at a lot of the research is like, fasted cardio. It's not just walking for 30 minutes, which is what we recommend doing.
Yeah.
So no, you're not going to lose any muscle mass.
No.
And same thing, like amino acids, like branched chain amino acids. People at the gym that I work at, people talk about that all the time. BCAA is like in their little shaker bottle and stuff like that. I'm like, well, what about the rest of the amino acids?
Yeah.
Like, what about the rest of them? There's a lot. There's only 3 of them in there.
And you really got to give the supplement companies credit for creating this false narrative that has been widely adopted by the general consumer as if it is true. Now, we know it's not true. We understand BCAAs have a negligible impact on retaining muscle tissue, and it's all based upon leucine, right? Leucine is one of the 3 BCAAs, and leucine is responsible for, it's a catalyst for muscle protein synthesis. But what we understand is BCAAs are simply 3 amino acids. Those 3 amino acids by themselves are actually very inefficient at building muscle and retaining muscle. It is the totality of all 20 amino acids that matter, because there is an interplay of the cofactors that is necessary for maintaining muscle tissue and, God forbid, growing muscle tissue. And this is done, and there's been great science, Dr. Brad Schoenfeld and Dr. Eric Helms, and recently discussed by myself and Dr. Andy Galpin, all have spoken on this topic, where it's the totality of amino acids in the blood pool that matter, not simply popping. And here's the thing with a lot of BCAAs, they're in capsule form. Well, that capsule is going to take 2 to 4 hours to actually break down in my gut. I finished my cardio like 2 hours ago. Like, it's like, think about that. They sell it in a capsule that takes like 2 to 4 hours to likely break down. How long does it take to break down? Take one of these capsules, drop it in a glass of water, and sit there and watch and see about, and that'll give you an idea of about how long that capsule takes to break down, right? I've already finished my cardio. So if anything to answer this, and there was a study done, I believe it was a University of Minnesota or Michigan, I forget right now, it's not in front of me, but they actually did a study using a whey isolate, which is one of the reasons that we do support whey isolate, though I'm not selling it, and likely you don't need a whey isolate, but you would consume a whey protein isolate prior to maybe 15 to 30 minutes before any sort of athletic activity to allow for the amino acids to be readily available in your blood supply. And what that concept is whey isolate is the fastest digesting of the proteins. So a plain, unflavored, all natural whey protein isolate mixed in water, you drink that down, you put on your little gym clothes, you put on your little shoes, you walk out the door 15, 20 minutes later, those amino acids are now entering the blood supply, right? That would be your best chance. And there is some data that supports muscle preservation as a result of that, but not muscle building, by the way. There might be studies out there that support it, but those studies I'm citing supported the preservation of muscle tissue. But again, whey protein isolate contains the EAAs, the essential amino acids, all amino acids, actually. Good?
All good.
All good. Ryan, thoughts on lumen? It's funny that, Ryan, I saw that pop up, and I wanted to share this. Now, I've seen this actually come up before, and it comes up in my Instagram quite a bit. I think I'm part of their algorithm, and they're targeting a person like me. So I fit their demographic, how they're trying to sell this to. The first device to hack your metabolism. Lumen knows if your body is using fats or carbs for fuel. So, Lindsay, you will be better equipped to answer this question than I will. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. Okay. I'll just briefly go through it. It starts with a breath. Lumen is the world's first handheld portable device to accurately measure metabolism. The science isn't new, but the technology is. Lumen uses a CO2 sensor and flow meter to determine the CO2 concentration in a single breath. This indicates the type of fuel your body is using to produce energy. It's used by the pros. Allegedly, they might be paid. Maybe it does work. It's like having your own personal nutritionist. Well, now they're making some wild claims, but hey, that's all right. This is what happens here. Now, Lindsay, do you have any Dr. Mark Hyman? All right, that's, anyway. So, Lindsay, what do you have here?
I find it interesting because sitting in front of me is a 10-year-old device called a MedGem.
Oh, look at
backward.
you.
I don't know, it's backwards. There we go.
Uh-oh.
It's Sorry. Called, behind me, over here, wait, right here, is a metabolic cart.
Uh-huh.
A $30,000 piece of equipment.
We're looking over your shoulder.
Same thing. It's called indirect calorimetry. So it essentially every 5 liters of oxygen, or every liter of oxygen we utilize, we're burning 5 calories.
Yep.
So it could estimate your, resting metabolic rate and things like that. But it's funny because we know when we're using carbohydrates or fat as fuel. It's already been researched. So to have that as an individual, I don't know. Do you know how much that is?
Let's see.
If it's
$300,
they won't post it. How much?
300. Yeah, let me pull it up. It's 300.
Okay. I have to look into this more, but that's essentially what it's doing. So what indirect calorimetry could pretty much tell is we use more oxygen on a cellular level to metabolize fat, and we use less oxygen to metabolize carbohydrate, because we could metabolize carbohydrate anaerobically, so without oxygen. But we know, like, based on what we're doing, we know what fuel we're using in different types of exercise. So if we're at a low intensity, we're using a higher percentage of fat. If we're at a higher intensity, we're using a higher percentage of carbohydrate. So I don't know how this is marketed as hacking, because it's already known. Like we already know, we already have this information. So it's interesting. Yeah, RER, or respiratory exchange ratio, essentially is just a number, usually from 0.7 to a little bit over 1. And it just indicates the percentage of fat or the percentage of carbohydrate you're using for energy production.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. It's interesting to have the tool, but like you had said, Lindsay, we already know.
Yeah.
We know with very high levels of accuracy what we are using from a fuel perspective.
Yeah.
Now, something like Lumen, it certainly can be beneficial in the manner that my iWatch is beneficial.
Right.
Right. My iWatch is beneficial for me more in a entertainment perspective. It keeps my mind engaged. I can check my heart rate. And really, I use my iWatch almost exclusively to see what my general heart rate is. Like the stopwatch, the heart rate, and really so I can play my audiobooks. Like I can sit in the sauna and I can just play my books when I don't fry my phone. My phone is outside the wall, to be honest. And it aggregates relative caloric burn, but I don't know how accurate that is. It's not completely accurate. It's all estimates here. So there's a lot of estimates that go into it. But Ryan, to answer your question, now, someone like you, Ryan, I think it probably is going to be effective. Now, I work with Ryan one-on-one. Ryan is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitor and champion. So he's an accomplished athlete, and he's also very diligent. So I think something like this will be beneficial. Don't buy it if you don't already have it though, Ryan. If you already do have it, I think it can be used successfully. But at the same time, to Lindsay's point, we already know what energy we're using. Like we know approximately the type of energy that we're actually utilizing, specifically with regard to the activity we're performing. Now, there's something that I use, I call the deflection point, where once you actually, and this is great for any competitor out there, once you take that deep breath while exercising or warming up, likely you've definitely switched over to glucose utilization. Now, you've likely started using a greater percentage of glucose up until that point, but as soon as you take that deep breath, poof, you've now switched over. So just know that now you are training at a glycolytic capacity from that point forward. And this is something, and now it's very bro in a way, validated upon science. I wish I had the book in front of me called Lactate Pulse Rate Training by Peter Jansen, which is one of the most formative books in my career, by the way. It made me reevaluate everything I had known, because it really speaks upon the deflection point of the heart rate and how that is actually trainable. You can actually train your heart to deflect. And let me go further on this. I use the same concept, those in the MMA world, I've been speaking about this for decades now, is Clay Guida. Clay Guida would go out there and he would just fight non-stop.
That guy's wild.
What's that?
That guy's wild.
Wild. And you would see athletes, they'd fight with him. And after 2 minutes, they'd be like, ugh. They would deflect. Clay could keep going. Now, what I would do with my athletes, I would get them on the treadmill and we'd start walking at 3 miles, 3.2, 3.4, 3.6. All of a sudden, we're in a light jog, and I would keep them talking and talking and talking the whole time. So we're talking. And then they get to the point that they're jogging. This is me jogging, that they're jogging and we're talking. And then all of a sudden, their breathing would start to get labored. Well, this is indicative of the deflection point. And at that point, I said, now remember how you feel. Remember your pace at this point. And at that point, I'd say, what gear are you in? So we would be able to understand very precisely how high we could get the heart rate based upon their level of exertion. And in time, we could train that. We could train them to deflect it, let's say 162 BPM, 168, 172. We would push up their deflection point, which meant that they could be trucking along at 4.5, 4.8, 5.0, 5.4 at higher and higher and higher levels of output before they deflected, like Clay Guida. Clay Guida, again, this is, kind of broing some of the valid science, because now I'm in a gym without diagnostic tools and such, right? So it's kind of broing it, but it's also mostly is letting the athlete understand what energy you're using right now. How hard can you go at this pace? Because if let's say you deflect at 168, I can stay at 167 almost consistently and maintain that pace, just like Clay Guida. I have one big exertion, I go up to 169 and fucking drop. Then I got to get down to 142 just to recover again and build my way back up. So keeping that in mind, and any athlete out there who hears this and who understands, think about that as you're training. What gear am I in right now? How many more gears do I have left? Because you can be in 6th gear and keep on fucking going, but as soon as you go one beat higher, you're done. You're back down to 2nd or neutral, getting your ass kicked at the bottom of the pile. So just as a little aside.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a point where they go from gradually increasing to then exponentially increasing, whether that be lactate production, heart rate, respiratory rate, whatever it may be. And that's certainly trainable. So maybe for a gym or facility that doesn't have $30,000, thank you, Marywood University, for allowing me to buy that.
Was that your choice?
Yes.
Ooh.
I taught for like 2 years, and they were like, here's the capital budget. I was like, yes.
That's a big one. Nice.
But I mean, we use it so often. It's such a good tool. But again, this device, that Lumen device, and I don't know how well you could use it, like if you had somebody running or sparring or anything like that. Whereas if you could put a mask, they have like portable backpack, like metabolic cart devices. But yeah, I mean, that could be a really good tool as far as training goes. I think for the average everyday person, definitely not necessary. But if you're a higher level athlete and you're looking to really get in those zones, push that aerobic threshold off, so you don't hit it at such a low intensity, you could actually push that intensity a little bit higher to the point where you switch from like aerobic to anaerobic. Yep. So yeah, I think that could be a great tool to use if you understand what it means and you understand how to then take that data and put it into your training. Yeah. So, and $300 is very affordable for a lot of people, but I just don't know, like, do you have to like hold it up and use it, or does it have like an attachment or anything like that? So
it looks like I just peripherally kind of reviewed the site. It looks like it's a 10-second breathing test. Okay. And it hooks to like an app on your phone. So it probably all kind of pulls up in there. Yeah. If I had one, I'd use it. I would certainly use it, but it would probably more so reinforce what I had already theorized. Right. With very rare exception, maybe if like I might find that if I'm standing in line, just being really fucking annoyed, I would probably start burning more glucose just because my brain was so irritated. Right. I would probably use it more in like those annoying situations
for interesting stuff. But but it seems like just on the screenshot, and I'll have to look at it more, but it seems like it's marketed to like weight loss and hacking your metabolism, where I don't see a purpose in that.
Oh, it's so funny you say that, because look. It's so funny you say that, because hacking your metabolism, exactly. Right. And it is. It's like replace your nutritionist. It makes – I hate when these things do that.
Right. If they marketed it to like personal trainers and people who are actually training athletes, like, yeah, maybe that would – I mean, you're not going to get as many people to buy it, but I don't think it's necessary for, your average everyday person. So – you can go I have people from the community come into this lab and they pay like $30 to go on that machine and do a true resting metabolic rate test where they like lay down with the mask on their face for an hour. And that's the most accurate way to assess like your, how many calories you burn in a day. But I think it would get misused by a lot of people.
It's interesting. You just got me thinking that we see a lot of this now. And I know an individual, and I probably don't want to say too much, but we see a lot of these diagnostic machines that are typically held for experts, more for the science, for the universities. They're now actually being diluted and downsized for general in-gym use, for the end consumer. And one of which is like velocity training. So velocity-based training devices and things such as that, man, most people don't need that. The average CrossFit gym doesn't need that. Matt Frazier, maybe Matt needs that, but there's only one Matt Frazier, let's say, right? And so one of my buddies actually was, you know, kind of a high-level salesman. He works on the like the tech side. So he's, you know, a tech salesperson. He was actually headhunted by a company who's selling a velocity-based training device that uses lasers. And I was like, but it was for individual use.
Right.
And I was looking at it, I was like, and it's like, well, you got to like, you Velcro it to like the top of the power rack. And it's like all this stuff. I said, I'm not buying that. So I'm probably like closer to the target audience. I'm not buying that. I said, you might be able to get over. And they're like, well, they want to sell it into the CrossFit gyms. Of course they do. Because the CrossFit consumer, with no disrespect, they're very commercialized. They're very consumer oriented, right? They want to kind of buy everything. They're so marketed to the CrossFit community. Yeah. And if one adopts it, they all do. I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Yeah, no, and they're so into numbers. Like the more data is better.
Yeah.
Like so into numbers.
Yeah.
So no, I agree. There's like somebody, actually Gab, who asked the question earlier. She asked me the other day about what are my thoughts on like all these diagnostic tests that you see now?
Yep.
Like without them, yeah, you're kind of doing like the bro science guesswork. But with too much, you have too much information.
Yeah.
And you're not listening to the athlete themselves. And I think, I don't want to say dumbed down, but like when you see all these higher level technical pieces of equipment being used at a lower level, it's like too much information and people don't know what to do with that information.
Yeah.
So I think, again, too little is not good, but too much is also not good.
Agreed. Let's kind of run through this. We're almost about to turn into a pumpkin over here. Ryan says, I'm Dolce Diet till I die, my man. But I was interested in the measurement, not the other stuff. Yeah, I think Ryan, I think we answered that. Hopefully we answered that. It's interesting for sure. Accuracy, though, I'd be curious. I mean, now we're assuming it's actually accurate.
Right.
So that the assumption is it actually does what it says. And fuck, Lord knows, I've been so dissatisfied with so many products that were promising, like the bioimpedance scale. Oh my God, so dissatisfied. I spent, I remember I spent 20 grand on a InBody 770 simply because the $5,000 model didn't work as sold. I actually had to spend to buy the $30,000 piece of diagnostic machinery to get the answers that I was looking for. And that actually, that worked out well. That was actually a really cool machine. And then no disrespect, it was very sad. A morbidly obese man actually broke it. It was really bad manners on his part, I should say. But by grabbing it and like trying to heft himself.
Oh, geez.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, I didn't act like that in the moment. I was very sensitive to him and all that. But now I look back, I've thought about it so many times, and InBody was great and taking care of me at that point. But I think about that now. I was like, I've never done such a thing. I've never been so careless with my own body mechanics to break someone's thing.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, like you can kind of feel like, what the hell, man? But anyways.
And I know like we have an older InBody here. I'm actually looking to get a newer model now, but it's such a pain because like the backlight on mine keeps going out. Yeah. I have to turn it off. Like unless I'm using it, you turn it off.
Yeah.
You have to ship it to California, and they will only fix it in California.
And you have to ship it.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, the university, thank goodness, but it's so crazy. And they're like, we can't send you the part because if you take apart the top part, that's like where all the calibration things are.
Yeah.
So if you take it apart, it'll get totally messed up. So yeah, but it's definitely a cool tool. I like InBody better than, most of the other brands out there.
That's the only one I've found to work.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the Tanita scale for simply weight. That's like the not the Olympic standard, but that you see that most in the NCAA is a Tanita scale in wrestling. That's what you see it is a Tanita.
Yeah, in the research. Yeah.
You're right. So, but as far as their bioimpedance technology is garbage. Like I might as well get it at Walmart.
Right.
For real. Like, you know?
And the report too. The report is like, you're like, what am I looking at?
Yeah.
InBody is very user friendly.
Yep. So like the InBody, like the InBody 550, that's kind of like a good level. You're gonna be pretty accurate on that, accurate to yourself, let's say. Right. The 770 was really just a step up, a step above. Yeah. I don't even know. That's going back a year. I think that was 2015, 16, maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know what model they're on now.
Yeah. So who knows? And maybe, hopefully technology got better. Now to ask you, do you have a bod pod? Do you have any sort of body mass diagnostic machinery, bod pod? Do you have a dunk tank? Do you have any of that stuff there?
So we have a bod pod, but it runs on a floppy disk.
Oh.
So we don't use it.
Fair enough. Wow. What year is that?
For the purposes of showing the students, like, here's what it looks like. Yes, it looks like a spaceship. We actually tested it out one time. I had a few students in here that were just feeling nerdy and bored. But I'm like, do you guys know what a floppy disk is? Like, you know what that is and how that functions. So it was pretty accurate. We like tested it against the InBody. But it wasn't that bad. Just super old. But we did have a DEXA, but there was issues with, you have to do it under a doctor's care. So we had a contract with a doctor. Then you had to have like a radiology certificate in order to even press the button on there.
Yeah.
Super, super costly to maintain. We weren't using it all that often. So we ended up selling it, unfortunately. But I mean, they're so expensive. They're like $100,000 or more. Yeah. But
I think the price on the bod pods have been slowly coming down, because I know 5 years ago or so they were about $50K.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure the price has come down considerably since. I'm waiting for that like entry point. I'd love to have one, really more for myself.
Yeah.
To like, just go like, because when I had the InBody, I literally every morning I would get on to the point that I'm like, I got to stop.
Yeah.
Because it's too much data overload, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the other thing. Like those pieces of equipment are so expensive. And I understand like DEXA is very, very popular, and students will, as my students go on and work in different fields, they're going to use them. But as far as like, hydrostatic weighing and the bod pod, you don't really see that as often. Yep. More often than not, they're probably going to be using an InBody. So we kind of try to stay on the more practical end of things, to prepare them to go on.
Sorry, 1 second.
You're looking up the cost?
No, I'm actually my daughter's sensei just sent me a message about belt testing.
Ooh. It's promotion time.
Yeah. Sure, they love it, by the way. Sorry about that. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So like the whole diagnostic is super interesting to have.
Right.
But again, look in the mirror. Right. Like if I need to know my body fat, I look in the mirror, and I am pretty diligent with taking weekly photos, kind of same lighting, same time, like every Monday morning, snap the photo. Like, so I actually have that kind of history of change, and I can really see where I've made changes, I wasn't going to that hard in the gym, or I've been going pretty damn consistently. And you can start to see these things, typically front, over the shoulder, back shot, super simple. And I only say that because a lot of people get paralyzed. Well, I don't have the body fat, so I'll wait until I start. I want to go step on the bod pod first. Like, and I've had a lot of clients like, well, I want to go and, I want to get my body fat tested before I start the diet. I don't want to mess up. It's like, you're not going to mess up your health by simply, taking a vote. I know we're getting late here. Let's run through this. Ben says, another awesome show as always. Thank you, Ben. We appreciate you. Amy, deflection point. That's fascinating. What's the name of the book? It's called Lactate Lactate Heart Rate Training by Peter Jansen. Lactate Heart Rate Training by Peter Jansen. I think it's like from the 70s or 80s. I forget. It's on the other end of the gym, so otherwise I'd hold it up for you. But it's it's very, very humble looking book, but the data is excellent. Wow, that's a crazy helpful analysis of heart rate versus output. Right on. What kind of test do you recommend for vitamin levels? Any go-tos for vitamins, Linz?
No, I mean, just a full, you always want to do like a full blood panel, and the most amount of kind of data points, the better. No, I think Mike always recommends Let's Get Checked. They could do, I think, an at-home kit. But no, just kind of talking to your doctor and see if you can get a full blood panel, as much data as you can get. Yeah, and you might be able to click the link below this, letsgetchecked.com/Dolce. Let me see if there actually is a link. Let me pause this. In-home blood testing, yes. Let me show you guys briefly, because we get this question enough times that it's certainly helpful for you guys. Let me just show you real quick. Let me shut down that window and then add to stream. Bam. So this right here is letsgetchecked.com/Dolce. This is what we go to. This is where we point our clients to. This is what I personally use. Actually, let me just briefly show you, just to prove that this was obviously not planned. And this is literally what I'm actually going to be testing myself today as I do. I'm like chronically, and it comes in this great little kit. Bam, bam, right there. It shows up. It's like an Apple product. Literally, when it shows up, it's super nice, super high end, relatively inexpensive. Let me just briefly show you the screen. Letsgetchecked.com comes right to your house. Order what you want. Use the promo code Dolce. So it's letsgetchecked.com/Dolce. Promo code Dolce will save you 20 to 40% depending on the tests. By the way, it really is excellent. They even do a coronavirus test on here. If you're interested in that, I don't think you can use our discount, unfortunately, because I think it's very expensive for them. But look at all the different tests that it shows. I mean, if you're worried about STDs, well, here's a whole list of them. You can test yourself and be safe. For ladies, for females, or for women, you look at all these recommended women's health tests. For men, the male hormone test. Absolutely, guys, you should be getting this stuff done. I cannot say enough about it. What else do we have? Wellness, general wellness, vitamin test, though. That was the question. And here is some of the vitamin tests, the essential vitamin D, B12, and E. So I don't want to beat this too much, but it's there, guys and gals. Letsgetchecked.com/Dolce. Click the link below if you're interested. I cannot say enough about it. It's so easy. It comes right to your door. You take the test, USPS picks it up. They send it back 3 to 5 days to get your results. It takes my doctor 2 weeks, 3 to 5 days to get your results, and it's uploaded to your own app, which is super cool also. You get your own app. It's updated to your dashboard. Again, it's awesome. And Adam Hart, what's up, Adam? Coach Adam in Ibiza, Spain. My man, proud of you, bro. Killing it. Adam's getting it done, ladies and gentlemen. Jock says, Sean Stevenson talks about the benefits of magnesium. He specifically recommends it, taking it as through the skin in a spray or cream, because via food is difficult to use and absorb. Thoughts? I need to do more research. I'm not familiar with what Sean had said, nor what the concept of a skin spray or a cream. So I don't have any additional information on that, whether that's effective or not. So I can't really comment. You have any thoughts? I'm not sure about the spray or cream versus food, but I mean, magnesium obviously is important. So, I mean, if that were to be true and you had some sort of deficiency or something like that, then yeah, I guess maybe try a cream, but I would have to research that a little bit more.
Okay. And to answer, Amy had asked deflection points. So this is the book, actually. Training Lactate Pulse Rate by Peter Jansen. I mean, you can see this book is old and beat to hell, but it's not an easy read. I will say that also, by the way. It's not an easy read for sure. It's very science heavy, but there's lots of great information to be pulled from anyone who's a little bit of an egghead who wants to dig deeper. Definitely consider that. Adam says he's on the road, so if he misses some, forgive me, Adam. Do not worry, brother. We appreciate you being here, and this replay will be living in perpetuity on the channel. And hopefully, if anybody is going to timestamp this, please timestamp this. Someone please timestamp this. I will give you a free t-shirt if you want it, or whatever I can do to be of a quid pro quo to give back to you. If somebody does want to timestamp this, please timestamp it. Throw it in the comments. And like the timestamp, you can actually put in your comment. I'll host it into the main description of the video, and then I will definitely take care of you. Jock says, I'm reading his material to help improve my sleep. Yep, Sean had that Sleep Smarter was a great book, by the way. You might want to consider a ZMA product. There's quite a few out there. The one that I lean towards is made by True Athlete, which is NSF certified for sport because, of course, the athletes we work with. So a ZMA product with theanine in there is something to consider. How much would folks pay to see Mike's interface when the guy broke his machine? I was worried about him first. But after kind of that went away, and I was like embarrassed for him at first. And then I was like, dude just broke my machine. And wasn't even really apologetic about it. And that was that was the annoying part. Amy found it right on. JE, thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. All right, guys and gals, we are 2 hours and 10 minutes deep into Ask the Dietitian with Professor Lindsay Howard MS, RD, LRD, CSCS, and just an amazing outlet and resource for us. Now, if you want to work one-on-one with Lindsay, click the link below. Lindsay works one-on-one with a private clientele, developing personalized 8-week meal plans in which Lindsay becomes your personal dietitian. You liaise directly with Lindsay. You speak with her. You do consultations with her. She builds you your personalized meal plan. I mean, this is a very personal program. Click that link below. Also, if you want to drill deep into your own lifestyle with a consultation, a 30-minute consultation with Lindsay, you can also click the link below, and you can sit and have a FaceTime, Skype, Zoom chat with her and talk, ask any question, things that are going on in your world, in your life that you want a highly qualified expert to speak with you. Again, consider Lindsay for that. She is very busy, by the way. So if you are interested, click the links, get it set up, get scheduled, and get this thing moving. Good night, Amy. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Trevor says, avascular necrosis was the reason for my hip replacements. It's fairly common, but not with people my age. I would love to chat more on my body. Kicks are stronger than ever. Hell yeah. Working my way to the head. God bless you. That's freaking awesome. Awesome. I understand. What's that, Linz? I
said bionic hips now.
Bionic hips. And man, that's what. And Trevor, if you're still here, what was the long-term prognosis? Did the doc say, hey, you're going to get 12 years out of this one or 15? I'm waiting for the new technology for the 30-year hips. Like that's kind of like I'm saying, all right, how long? I want to push this back as far as possible. Every 6 months, there's evolutions in science and medical devices. How 15 years, of course. I want to push this back as far as possible, hoping, but maybe it's one of those things that is as much as they can dig out simply because of the way maybe the body interacts with it. I'm not sure. I'm still doing my own due diligence. But I got a few like Joe McAuliffe. So Joe McAuliffe is a multi-time world champion, world record-setting powerlifter, one of my good friends and mentors. I looked up to Joe in my early careers and still do in many ways. He's a great coach here in New Jersey. So working with Joe, and he went through hip replacement surgery. He's going to get on the podcast to talk about it. Scott Caulfield from the NSCA. Scott just went through a double hip replacement surgery last year and is now training like a 25-year-old kid. So, I mean, it's amazing. Eddie Cohn. I want to get Eddie Cohn onto the show. And I mean, Eddie did a double hip replacement at the exact same time, which most people get one done, then they get the other one done. Eddie did them both at the same time. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. For any of you who's interested, that'll be part of the content we put out. Trevor says, thank you. We appreciate you. Boom. Thank you. Henrik, thank you again. Trevor says that they said I shouldn't ski and run anymore. 6 months later, I was doing both. Everybody is different, obviously, but I feel like I bounced back super quick with this. Would love to join a podcast. Trevor, definitely. Trevor, if you can, shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the best way to privately connect with each other. And I will definitely jump in and learn more. I'm super intrigued by the topic and conversation. All right, guys and gals, it is time for us to jump off. Professor Lindsay Howard, thank you so much for being here. You are awesome. Everyone who's been a part of this stream, thank you. And again, bang, bang, leave thumbs up if you appreciate the content, and comments below. Ben Boyer, thank you for the kind donation, my friend. That is very cool. Never expected. Always appreciated. Thank you. Boris says thank you. Thank you, Boris. All right, guys and gals, we appreciate you being here. You are awesome. And until next time, boom!